From sunny Southern California, we bring you Meet Bridget. Bring it on, baby! Welcome back to Meet Bridget, Season 6. We are on a mission to combat the teenage confidence crisis. It's hard being a teen, and we talk about it honestly. If this is something you're passionate about, stay with us.
Meet Bridget is a giant career and life path library and a place where women of all ages and stages can connect on common ground. Each episode starts with a deep dive into our guest's day-to-day lifestyle, and then we tap into her unfiltered teenage stories, making the roots of her success relatable. I'm Kashia Rosenberg, and I co-host this show alongside my best friend, Asha Gabriel.
Today, you'll meet Christina King, a therapist focused on teen mental health, mother-daughter connection, and helping young women find their way back to themselves. Her work is deeply rooted in her own teenage experience with pressure, mental health struggles, and the power of being seen. After more than a decade of education and clinical training, Christina opened her private practice in Manhattan Beach in 2024. At Meet Bridget, we talk a lot about confidence and communication as a cycle. When girls feel safe to communicate, confidence grows. When confidence grows, communication becomes easier. Today's conversation sits right in that space.
We are back again with Christina King, teen therapist. We are doing a little series of these mini episodes where she shares her wisdom on a couple different topics that really are pertinent in the world of teens today. So today's episode is going to be a quick and dirty one on mean girls, social aggression, and online dynamics. I think for anyone listening that has been a teenager, the concept of Mean Girls is not new. I mean, we all love the movie, right? Cult classic. A really good job emulating what teens go through. We want to dive right in, and I'd love to start with a baseline of what you would describe as a healthy relationship before we get into the nitty gritty of what things to look out for.
Totally. I mean, healthy relationships, I can imagine y'all know a little bit about it as your best friends.
We're best friends, yes.
So part of it is you're looking at, a relationship over time, right? How do you genuinely feel in that relationship? Are you feeling doubtful? Are you feeling insecure? Are you questioning and thinking about it and overthinking about it, right? So then on that inside, it's can I text them without thinking? Can I have soccer practice and be gone for 2 hours and not worry about that, right? Do I feel like I can be myself and be weird and be silly and be all these different parts of me, and that's going to be accepted and welcomed? And similarly, can I accept someone else's weirdness and silliness and all the fun stuff that makes that their personality without icking it or making a thing of it? And so we're also looking at how is conflict handled, right? And I think there's an idea that conflict is bad, and it's not bad. It's just how do we deal with it? How do we address it? And can we move through it in a way that's respectful and supportive of both of us, as well as repair in a good way? And that's what trust is really built from, is rupture and repair, right? You feel closer after having that hard conversation. And so we want to encourage girls to be able to bring up things that hey, you didn't invite me, that really hurt my feelings, and they're oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, it totally slipped my mind, right? Let's hang out and talk about it. Beautiful sign, right? So just that openness, that communication, that ability to be yourself without doubting and worrying and overthinking is kind of what we're looking for here.
I love that. It's really beautiful because in a lot of ways it kind of ties back into that self-identity piece, how you handle different crises within yourself, right? As a teen, and how you mirror that in your outside relationships. Is there kind of a line, and maybe we'll get into this a little bit more throughout the course of this mini episode, but is there a line where somebody might overdo it? Where do those lines start to become blurred? Where the intentions are really, really good, but then you're okay, even though you're not being mean or do you know what I'm saying? Where does that support start to become unhealthy, or that ties start
dependency type friendships, or someone freaks out if they don't, you don't call them back, where it's the signs of good connection, but also
versus where do the lines start to blur?
Boundary.
And, you know, you're essentially looking at, right, like that sense of self. And it's like, are you allowed to have a sense of self outside of that relationship, right?
Yes.
And so we are looking not just like, does it feel good in, but also does it feel good apart, right? And that's kind of what you were describing, where it's like things could be so good that you're just like totally enmeshed with one another and doing everything together. But then it's like other parts of your life might be slipping, right? Other friendships might not be getting fed. And so we don't want that all consuming. We want that balance. And this is where on one of the resources I talk about, like, yes, having similar interests, but also having different interests.
Right.
Because if you're, you know, just like on top of each other, like doing everything together, it's like too much. And oftentimes I find like a lot of people want that sense of like individuality, right? And it's like, I mean, I've worked with literally twins before, and they were like, this is my sport. Like, I don't want to, right? But it is just like, you do everything together. You have the same clothes and the same this and the same that it's just like, you want something that's yours.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, when it's the twins, like, what if the other twin is just genuinely interested in the same sport? So how do you handle that?
And that's where there's that level of like, yeah, you both want to do soccer. Okay, you both want to do soccer, right? And then maybe it is like every season you both have a together sport, and you also both do an individual sport. You get to pick whatever sport that is, but it can't be overlapping. And if you can't agree, then neither of you are doing that sport.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
Yeah.
Keep that for later, Asha.
You're like, hi. I don't know. My girls are obsessed with each other. Like they bicker a lot.
Of course.
But literally, like, they think about each other for every single thing. Yeah. Anytime one of them has a good experience, they're already like thinking about, how can I bring this to my sister? Which is like,
so cute.
Makes me cry. But I'm also like, it's okay for you to have things that you do that your sister doesn't have to do, you know, and like kind of creating that healthy sense of like, you have separateness and you have togetherness, which is such an amazing gift for you.
Yeah.
But like the separateness is also really important, you know, and for you to be able to say, no, this is my thing, you know, and I don't want to share in it.
Yeah.
In terms of like the healthiest, supported, happy teens that you've seen, are they typically, and we'll speak in girls just because that's kind of our world here. Are they typically girls that have a big group of friends, that there's a lot of variety, or is it, you know, because I feel like there's often the situations where it's like the one best friend, you know, and those two girls do everything together, and there's a bunch of those little pairings, or is it something in between, or is it vary completely?
I often see it's like, frankly, the like small group of friends that's just really tight, and kind of it's like, we've been friends since first grade or some story, right? But like there tends to be a couple of them, but it's not a very large group. They're not overly social, so to speak, but they're just solid kids that do stuff together but also have their own individual interests. Is kind of where I see the best, I'll say, in friendship land. But of course I'm like, that is so also like sometimes unique, and like not everyone has that experience. And I think especially as girls, I mean, I'm sure y'all can look back and think back on like, it is a tumultuous time in a lot of ways, and I think that shows up a lot in friendships.
What about, I mean, oftentimes there's situations you have to switch schools or you've moved to a new city. I feel like a really daunting experience for any young person or adult, honestly, is like, okay, I'm in a new setting, there's established social dynamics, and that anxiety of wanting to make new friends or to hop into a new social circle, and maybe having resistance met, you know, when you're trying to do that. Where do you start with teens like that are just like, I can't make friends, or I don't know where to start in this new setting?
Yeah. I mean, I was like literally just asked this in a DM on Instagram the other day, and it's like, one, really hard. And I think especially as parents, you want to just be like, no, just go up to them and talk to them and right?
This
like,
is really hard. What you're doing is really hard.
Yeah.
You know?
And like acknowledging that it is really hard. And I mean, especially with like teens, it's like acknowledging that as an adult, I'm like, I have no idea what the social dynamic is like, right? Like, you know more than anyone, and you know what it feels like to be a new kid at a new high school and like trying to find friends. And so the things that I'll talk to parents about is like, one, can they get involved with something, whether it's a club, whether it's a sport, right? Where it's almost this like built-in community that will come with time, but will come with a shared activity. And especially for kids, like so much of friendships come from shared activities, because it's like you're literally just doing the same things, right? Like
you're showing it's time together. Just scheduled time together.
Exactly. And so like that's a great place to start. But also like depending where you moved, like letting them and like encouraging them to stay in touch with like their old friends, whether it's FaceTiming, whether it's texting, whether it's also like, can we meet in the middle? Like if it is like, you know, moved from LA to Orange County or something, it's like, can we meet in the middle and have a day? Can we have them over for a sleepover? And like understanding that friendships do take time to build. And I think that can also be something that's hard, but like emphasizing that with our girls that like good friendships take time. You're not going to have this right now. And like that sucks.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. Or even like if you're maybe having a little resistance or you're trying to either you joined even the new soccer team, right? And like all the girls seem like they're already friends, that it's like if there's some inside jokes that you're maybe not getting or something, it doesn't mean they don't like you. You're just new, you know, they might very much like you and they're feeling you out, you know, that's like, it might not happen instantly, but that doesn't mean that it's like, you're not welcome there.
Not gonna come.
And in that, like, and I'll talk about this too, just like with my girls about like, there are stages of friendship, right? And like, if you've ever had someone that has come to you and just like plops down next to you and starts sharing like everything about themselves, you're almost like, whoa, like, can I get away right now? Right. Like, and so like also saying that of like, you know, there are stages of development and stages of friendship. And I think we don't often think about friendship as stages, but like it is, right? And like Lisa DeMore has this awesome analogy of like there's a front stage and a backstage, and like not everyone gets access to the backstage. And so one, like acknowledging that it's going to take time for that, but then two, also being like, can we just focus on like the front stage stuff and like, you know, laughing or like, you know, being a good teammate or, you know, whatever it is, being a good classmate, right? Sharing notes. And that's kind of where I'll talk a lot about like, is there someone in your class that you can like study with? Is there someone in your class that you can ask a question to, right? And like, you might not even need help. Ask for help.
It's right out of Mean Girls.
Yeah, right.
I'd love to get into maybe not necessarily like a mean girl dynamic, but what are some of the things that you are seeing with some of your young teen girls? Like what are the most common types of conflicts that are popping up?
I mean, I immediately think to like middle school, and one like, I mean, I'm sure if you think back, it's like a lot of this stuff peaks in middle school.
Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, teenagers, high school. And it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like I honestly, I'm like, my hardest time, I feel like it was like early 7th grade when it was really like, whoa.
Totally.
We're all big now.
So confusing.
And part of it is like, you're going to this new space. So there's a level of like, you're literally trying on like different personalities, right? And so like friendships, like especially elementary school friendships, tend to like break apart sometimes. And that's really hard because maybe it's like so-and-so wants to be with the kind of the art kids more, or like so-and-so wants to climb the social ladder essentially, right? And so there's this like pulling apart oftentimes of that initial group that can be painful because kids don't know what's going on, right? And then there's also that dynamic where it's like you are aware of the social ladder, right? More than you were in elementary school. You are aware of this hierarchy and you want to be a part of that to some extent. You want that power that can come with the like notoriety or the
or being invited to everything.
Like,
you know,
it's just so, and I think, as I said, like girls are trying on these different hats, so to speak. And one of those hats is that they realize like, if you're mean, not everyone will be mean back. So it can earn a sense of social clout or a sense of social status just in that level that like you might be willing to do something that other girls are not willing to do, and other girls aren't going to be willing to maybe stick up for someone because they're seeking that sense of belonging. And unfortunately, sometimes the fastest way to inclusion is exclusion.
Do you see both sides of this? And how do you
coming into your office that are the mean girls, you know, and where is that usually coming from? Obviously I feel like insecurity about something, but what are like the patterns you're seeing like right now?
And I think it's like, I mean, I'll caveat a little bit. It's like if we're seeing just straight up bullying, which like we define bullying as like, you know, this repeated attempt to be mean to someone, and there's this stark like power difference, right? And so it's like you can think of the movies, right? And but like this is not mutual conflict where it's like they're both kind of
unnecessary, unfair.
Yes.
You know?
And we really want to look at that like social power when we're looking at bullying, right? So it's like I'm not necessarily talking about that dynamic here. It's like I'm more gonna look at that like two girls that are a little even footing that are just like throwing bombs at each other.
Crush on the same boy, you know, or something, you know.
And it can be that sense of like, whether it's jealousy, whether it's insecurity, right? Whether it's like seeking that sense of belonging. And so what I see all the time is like, you know, girls will come in and they'll be like, telling me, the tea that's going on and da-da-da-da-da. And they pull out their phone and they're like, can you believe what she said? And I'm sitting here reading these messages and I'm like, I cannot believe what you said.
Yeah.
Like, and just that complete unawareness to like how their behavior is essentially inflaming a situation or like diffusing a situation, right?
Interesting.
And that's where, you named like the social aggression piece. It's like, I
Yes.
do label and define social and relational aggression, like not necessarily like from the start, but like it kind of starts out of like, oh my gosh, so-and-so did this and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, oh, well, there's actually a definition for that. And I'll tell them the definition that's like has nothing to do with them. And then as I start to see these messages, I will like acknowledge their need to defend themselves because that's obviously what it's kind of coming down to is like, I want to defend myself. I feel slighted in some way. And so they're like using these aggressive language, aggressive behaviors to do that, right? And so it's like once you have a label for it that's more about behaviors and less about the individual, like I can kind of be like, hey, this is looking a little bit aggressive. Like, how can we shift this? How can we do it in a way that's like a little more kind to you and to them, right?
I think that's such a good point that you make about like labeling the behavior and not the person. Because even in, I feel like it's easy to coin the term like mean girls because it's like everyone knows like what that looks like, that behavior looks like.
Yeah.
But I always hesitate a little bit because I'm like,
yeah, me too.
I don't really think there's such thing as a mean girl. And I also like, same way I don't think there's such thing as a bad kid.
Yes.
Like I think people are hurt, and that causes a series of defensive behaviors and whatever that looks like, right? So it's almost like, we're saying mean girls, but it's like mean behaving girls, and it's like, okay, even if you're maybe say someone's on the opposite side, right? And just dealing with, maybe it's leading even towards bullying, right? And like relentless, just like mean behavior that they can't quite understand. What is the first step that you kind of help someone exit a situation like that? When to know when it's like, okay, when should I kind of like correct or stand up for myself or, diffuse a situation? And when should I honestly just, get out of here?
Totally. And with this, I will say like, as a parent, your line is going to be much sooner than your kid's line, which is really hard.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're seeing your kid in this dynamic that like probably looks a little toxic and you're like, dude, cut him out. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The impulse is like, I'm going to go to the school and talk to them. And it's like, why not?
Yeah. I'm always like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Do not do that.
You have to give them a chance to.
Yes.
And also what skill are you building in your child or your teen if you're doing that all the time? And when you're not there, what happens? If you're the one that's coming in and it feels good as a parent to always protect your kid. The way you're protecting your kid is giving them the skills to protect themselves.
Exactly. And so this is where, as a therapist, how I tend to go about it is like, we talk about healthy relationships. We talk about how it feels. We talk about when it doesn't feel good. Right. And I will say for them, I'm like, what's your line? When do you walk away? But often what you're seeing is like, they're not walking away from, I don't know, Katie, right? They might be walking away or risking their entire friend group.
Sure.
And when you're looking at a developmental stage where their whole purpose and sole mission is to create a sense of community and belonging outside of their family.
Yeah.
That is like life threatening.
It's the whole goal.
Right? Yeah. So you're asking this kid to cut off their life source.
Yeah.
And that might just not be worth it yet. Right. And so this is where, as a parent, it's really hard because, sorry to all the Katies out there, but like if Katie's being really mean to your daughter and you're watching her continue to like invite her to the birthday party and and like seek her attention and approval, like you can acknowledge and bring up how it might not feel bad. But if you go scorched earth on Katie, even just behind closed doors where she can overhear, she's going to start to internalize that for herself, right? Yeah. She's going to start to feel that way about herself. So it's also like holding a neutral position, but also reflecting back, like, seems like every time we were talking to Katie, like, you cry. Seems like you don't feel your best. Like, I'm wondering which friends you feel your best with, right?
Yeah.
And especially with raising teenagers, I'm like, take it out of the next 4 years, like, take it into like, you want them to be confident when they are 30, right? Or when they are 25. Like, you want them to know what this feels like, and they can only have that wisdom from their own experience.
Yes.
Totally. That it's like, they are going to fall and stumble and have a, toxic friendship and then a good one. And like, and that's like, you don't have to protect them from those experiences, but even just giving them that tool of reflection, like you said, where it's like, how do you feel after hanging out with that friend?
Yeah.
How much do you recommend like just replacing the icky friendships with the ones that are making you feel good? Is that a tool that you use? Like, instead of just being like, don't hang out with that girl, like, okay, well, I notice you're really happy when you're with Leanne from, your art class, every time you see her, you seem like you're in a good mood. Maybe you should hang out with her more, and just kind of that substitution versus just like focusing so much on the bad thing that needs to be removed.
Exactly. Right. It's like, you do want to emphasize the positives, and it is that like subtle, but I'll say calm and neutral way. Right. Because especially like, depending on your kid, like if you come in with all this energy about it, or like, oh my gosh, you should totally hang out with her, she's so great, like all of a sudden I'm like, oh,
like maybe not.
If you're so into it, like I'm not into it, right?
Totally.
Yeah, they just become like allergic to you, unfortunately. And so in that, it is just like kind of naming like, oh, I love seeing you so smiley when you're together, I love seeing you giggle when you're together, right? Or just like reflecting like what felt good in friendships, or even asking like when you pick them up from a play date, so to speak, like, how did it feel? What made you feel really good? Where did you compromise, right? Or like, where was there a tiff and you got through it together, right? Like also emphasizing those like conflict resolution skills.
Yeah. When you, so let's talk about the girl who's not Katie. Let's talk about Katie's friend who's, navigating her friendship with Katie, right? Or any name. Replace Katie with any name in the world. What do you tell the young girl who's like, I feel like lines are being crossed. I'm feeling really down and dejected. This does not feel like a good friendship. I love the piece where we've named the behavior. We're not blaming the person. So what are some like healthy, conducive ways to address that type of situation?
Yeah. And I do kind of look at it as like, we have 3 options. There's probably many other options, but the first 3 that I think about is like, there's almost the abrupt like friendship breakup, right? And I think understandably so, like not all kids really want to go down that path, right? Then there's this path of like, I'll say like slowly distancing, or like just kind of like diffusing the friendship, right? And then there's the third path of like, can you bring this to them? Can you talk to them about it? Like, can you see if things change, right? And usually it's almost like reverse order is the way it kind of goes down of like, I'm going to bring this up first. I'm going to see if I can get some traction with it. And then I'm going to, maybe start to slowly pull away from this relationship. And then or sometimes it just all comes to a head and it's like the big breakup, right? Yeah. And it's, I don't want to say the word dramatic because I feel like that has a negative connotation, but it's like, it's big, right?
It feels big.
It's a lot, and it's a very sudden.
Are there specific, like, is there a specific script or like a tool that you'll give these teens, like when they are approaching that crucial conversation where you're like, okay, now you're going to bring this up. Like, this made me feel like this. Do you walk them through how to do that?
Yeah. So like I have an acronym TALK, which I love because I like to talk, right? But it's like goes through just like when a conflict emerges, like how to handle it, right? And like T is like take space, right? Like very often, especially for teens, is it like this big thing happened, I'm feeling all these feelings, and then
immediately.
And then when we react immediately, it goes exactly how it went, right? That's usually when the big breakup happens. So then take some space, sleep on it, like write about it, like how do you want to formulate these thoughts and what do you want to say, and go from there, right? And then A is like act kindly, right? You also want to act in a way, because if you start bad mouthing them to all your other friends, that's going to get back to them very quickly, right? And it's going to like escalate it in another way. The other thing that like I will touch on with social media, and this is something that I say to all parents, is I was like, make a specific point that like you are not allowed to post on social media about people, right? Because girls will vent, post their feelings, they will clear the air, right?
Oh God.
or like
exactly. Oh God.
I'm like,
our equivalent was literally like changing your MySpace song.
or changing your top 8.
Yes, rearranging.
Gone, right?
Like, oh my God, so and so is now space
so subtle, because everyone's like looking for those little social cues and like trying to sleuth online. Like, did you see she made that post that was for sure about that other girl? You know, it's like don't even do it in a way that obviously not direct. But like don't even do it the indirect way either.
Right. So it's like that's going to be part of that kind of space, right? In addition to just like everything you're saying to like, and this is where I'll say as parents, it's like, let them say all the unhinged thoughts to you.
Okay.
So that they don't say it to like the other people, right? Because it's just like when you get home from work and you're like, my boss, right? Let me tell you about them. And so it's like, part of it is just that venting and releasing that
Yeah.
they need, right? And so again, it's like, let them say it to you so that they're not saying it to other people.
Right.
And then, what did I say? Talk. So then the L, why am I forgetting the L right now? Oh, the L is leave others out explicitly,
Yeah.
right? And so that's part of it because I'm like, we're going to double emphasize that.
Yeah,
right?
this isn't like a group war.
Yes,
This is like a
exactly.
one-to-one communication moment.
And especially that group war dynamic, that's what really gets into social aggression. And when
Yeah.
we were looking at relational versus social, like relational is more one-on-one,
Yeah.
whereas that like social aggression is like using the group dynamic to
Yeah.
inflict harm.
Yeah.
And that is something I see so often that I think girls like misinterpret standing up for one of their friends,
Yeah, as group aggression.
but it's group
Like,
aggression,
yeah.
right? And so that's something that we try to talk about, but that's also where it's like leave others out. And this is something too where like I'll say it's like I can appreciate it's like you need to talk to someone about this, right? But if this is going down in like your art club, talk to your soccer friend about it, right? Talk to your cousin who doesn't go to the same school about
Yeah.
it. Like differentiate and like have that level of just like this is not getting
Separation
back.
between church
Right.
and state.
Exactly,
Yeah.
literally. And then that K of like know when to walk away and like know when to speak up, right? And so usually we try to like at least for exercise, speak up first. And then if it's like you've had this conflict now 10 times and nothing's changing, then at that point it might be the time to walk away.
It's such a good acronym. We have a course on like kind of confidence 101, but also like crucial conversations as part of that. It's a really good book, Crucial Conversations, but it's a similar formula, you know, like you really have to prepare it and, you know, have a system for an important conversation because it's like the stakes are high, you know, like emotion is in there. Like if you don't have kind of a plan and sort of like, okay, if this doesn't work, then like, you know, I have my evidence. I know what I need to do. You don't have that going in. Like it probably isn't going to go well, you know? And then you're like, you're spewing it to like everyone rather than just taking a moment and like writing it down or thinking about it. Then it's like, you can even be taking like this problem and making it like this problem.
Yes, exactly.
So good. Yeah. Well, obviously like the elephant in the room is not only social media, but also like just text and kind of indirect warfare that's going on. I feel like a lot of times when we are like text is obviously so convenient for so many reasons, but it can also be it feels easier, you know, we can be little like keyboard warriors and say things in a way that doesn't convey the layers of emotion that are in every teen relationship. Are you seeing more issues going down in text than in like normal conversations that clients are bringing to you?
I think text is like a big piece for literally all the reasons you said, right? And then that's where sometimes like this is where the practice is like, can you pick up the phone and call her?
Yeah.
Right? Can you like talk to them at school, right? Can you do it in person? And again, part of it is just like the practice of it, like having the uncomfortable conversation, right? As well as like starting to understand that like there is nuance in tone that is not picked up.
Yeah.
Right. Via text.
And like there's certain things like you can say things on text and have this back and forth exchange that you would never say. Like for us, I feel like it was like AOL Instant Messenger.
Yes.
I'm really dating myself.
Yeah.
You know, like I had like full on like little like friendships or like boyfriends and stuff on like my Instant Messenger. It was like all
and then you're like
PG,
BRB
like,
dinner.
But then like I wouldn't even talk to them at school, you know? And it's like it gets so impersonal where it's like, you know, even if someone's being mean to you or you've had like drama going down or whatever, you look at someone like there's certain things you just won't say to someone because you look at them and you're like, you're a person. You're a human with a parent, you know, like you were a baby at one point. Like there is that level of face to face where it's like when in doubt, like put the phone down, just put it down. This, you don't need to continue it right now, especially if it's getting into that, like, well, I got to come back with what I'm going to say. It's like, this is a sign you should probably just, you know, be like, let's talk about this later. In terms of social media, obviously there's a lot of, you know, recommendation out there for parents to like, you know, wait till 8th grade to even get a cell phone or, you know, the guidelines around social media. And obviously, you know, then you throw AI in the picture and it's like another world of, I mean, just access and influence that is greater than it's ever been for teen girls. What are you seeing as like the biggest themes coming up there? And what is your like first line of defense for a girl that is just like in too deep with social media?
Yeah. I mean, one, like I will say at least from the therapist role, like teens tend to be receptive to like talking about social media, the impacts of social media. Like I had a kid literally the other day in session, like download an app to like prevent screen time overuse and stuff, you know? So it's like teens tend to have like the nuanced ability to like hold that like
they know
this
it's
thing is
not
awesome.
great.
Yes, but it's also bad, right? The other piece of it is like, what are we modeling at home, right? If you're always on your phone, if phone's at the dinner table, like it's like, hold on, sorry, someone's calling, right? Like if this is this like life force that's taking up energy in the home, like why do we expect our teens to like have a different relationship with it, right? But then we're also going to look at like what I say is like teen rules. As you're saying, it's like there's totally this movement of like wait till 8th, which I'm 100% on board with. But then it's, I think like sometimes it feels like I am keeping my kid out, or like my kid is literally being left out because of this, and that can be really hard.
Yeah. Or they're gonna eventually maybe even get like, you're being really restrictive even through high school, and like, but your plan is to have them go to college, and then you're not there. They're not having dinner with you at your table. And it could be too much too fast, you know? Like what is a way to kind of
and it is that like scaffolding. Right. And it's like earning and building the trust. And this is where it's like I see like a lot of kids, like younger kids, where it's like they have like Apple Watches. And initially I was like, oh my God, why are all these like kids running around with Apple Watches? Like this is insane. And then I was like, oh, it's because they can like call and talk to their parents, but and they have their location, really, like, but they can't
Snapchat and all this stuff.
Exactly. And so I was like, oh, that's actually like a creative solution. And then it's also like if you do get a phone, especially a smartphone, it's like, please do not snoop through your kid's phone, but please set the expectations that like you will be going through their phone, right? Like there is
I'm going to have an app that like is going to flag any dangerous stuff in your text. Like, so you know, like, yes, you can have access to your friends, but like part of me giving you this opportunity is that I'm here to make sure it's safe.
Exactly.
You know, I'm not going to be like, well, did you answer Brittany's text yet? Like, she asked you what outfit you're wearing to cheerleading. You know, like literally, I'm not going to be like that, but you know, I'm going to be aware of the communication that's going on if it's happening digitally.
Setting a framework for them.
Exactly. And I think in that it's like you're going to be met with defenses, and like their option is then no phone, right? So like
that's your choice. You don't want it. That's
they
fine.
will choose usually to get the phone, right?
So what I'm hearing is through the duration of the lifetime of your childhood, boundaries are a good thing.
Yes. Yeah.
As long as you talk about them, right? Like even in your friendships, like setting up boundaries within your friendships, setting up boundaries with your parents, vice versa.
Absolutely. And then I think just like scaffolding too, like what apps get rolled out. You do not need to give them access to every social media app. Like what is going to keep them most connected to their friends? Where are the plans being like arranged? That's the app you get, right? After X amount of time, if this is going well, then you get this app, right? And just like scaffolding it and being intentional with it.
Have you had clients that maybe have had access or too much access to more dangerous apps that are sharing their locations, or like OnlyFans or some of these things where it's like, oh no, your digital access has gone too far, you know, as a minor. And what are sort of your techniques to sort of dial back digital access once it's already been granted? Because I feel like that's even harder than being like, no, you can't get it, is like you've had it and it's gotta go away.
And that's where I'm like, those are the fights that you pick. And it's like I am like a firm believer. I'm like, you don't pick all fights, but like pick the fights that like you're gonna die on that hill, and like you will go to bat every single time. And if you did give your kid a phone and like haven't been looking at it or whatever, like you can say like, hey, I acknowledge like I'm going back on this. I'm starting something that you're not gonna like, but I'm going to enforce, right? And like fight that war and like keep your kids safe, right? And also like, and when I say educate them, I'm like, maybe don't sit down and be like, da, 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 right? Part of that is there. But then also part of that is like, help them educate themselves on this, right? Like, because they're being talked about like online safety all the time. And so it's like, they also can have resources to like, you know, and then come to you and have like an intellectual conversation about this, right? Like, let's find this middle ground. And just like, when it is something that's like, okay, we're talking like pornography or something that's like, we do not want you on this. Like, it's okay to have a line and stand on that line and like be met with resistance on it too.
In a scenario where a kid is bringing up questions about things that already like make a parent uncomfortable, or the parent just kind of wants to like back off, does it usually mean that the kid has more knowledge about that topic and is looking to verify or get help in something?
Yeah. I mean, kids will definitely talk to their like oftentimes parents, if they're bringing it up to their parent, they usually heard something, saw something, etc., that made them like a little uncomfortable or like, I don't know what to do with this information.
Yeah.
And are coming to you with it,
Yeah.
right? And so when that does happen, your kid probably isn't seeking out that knowledge. Like they probably just got presented with it and are like,
Mhm.
oh my God, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
And then like bring it up to you as a parent. So in that moment, like as best as we can, it's like, take that deep breath, ask some questions. What do
Mhm.
you think about it?
Yeah,
You know, and
where's
like,
this coming from?
yeah,
You know?
what have you seen? What do you know? What have you heard?
Mhm.
Right. And then, like, once they kind of are able to clear out some of their thoughts, then it can be like, okay, this is where we stand on this as parents or as a family. Like, these are our values. This is how it's in line with what you said or different than what you said. And then, like, maybe it is just like until you're like out of the house or whatever, like, until you're an adult
Yeah.
and can make these decisions for you, we expect you to play by these rules. And, like, I get that's annoying, but that's the trade-off, right?
Mhm.
I feel like a theme kind of picking up on is, especially for the parents, because we have a lot of parent listeners, that leading with questions
Mhm.
versus being like, I got to step in and
Yeah.
I got to teach and I have all
Mhm.
this onus and responsibility on me to show them the right way.
Totally.
That it's like just starting with the questions, getting
Oh, yeah.
curious, like,
Mhm.
neutral to
Mhm.
start. And it's so interesting because I feel like it's such a foundation of even what we've been trying to build here, where it's like, no, like Meet Bridget, the name Bridget comes from the word bridge, where it's like, this is lateral, whether you're
Mhm.
60 or you're 16, if you're in our
Yeah.
community, you're on a level playing ground and everybody
Mhm.
has something to share and something to learn,
Absolutely.
where it's like, we have
Mhm.
questions for anybody that comes to our table. And when we
Yeah.
talk about things,
Mhm.
it's not in like, allusions to stuff. We talk about trauma. We talk about all sorts of like
Yeah.
big real
Mhm.
experiences as teenagers. And we talk, without, filters in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
because it's our belief that it's, at least in the teenagers we've interacted with, I'm like,
Mhm.
they already, if you're not talking about it in a safe, supported
Mhm.
context with resources, they're
Mhm.
hearing about it somewhere else.
Mhm.
And they're going to have
Exactly.
more questions. So we're
Yeah.
always like, oh, if swear
Yeah.
words come up, they come up. If,
Totally.
someone had something happen
Yes.
as a child or whatever, I'm like,
Mhm.
these are real scenarios. And like, we want to
Absolutely.
create a safe space
Mhm.
to talk openly about it.
Yeah.
So,
And I love that. And it made me think of like the 3 C's, and it is the order of like curiosity, connection, correction. Right.
Yes.
Because to your point, it's like if you jump in with correction before connection and curiosity, then
yeah.
like game over. Like
Mhm.
you've lost it with the teen, right? And like, especially as a teenager, the number one like safety measure for them is a good relationship with their parents, right?
Mhm.
So it's like honor that above everything else. And like, believe me, I get it. Like, I have teens where they are saying stuff and I'm literally just like can feel the anxiety in me. And
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, what is going on? Like, right. And I have alarm bells going on in my head, but I'm like,
Mhm.
if I come with them with that energy, this conversation's over.
Yeah.
And to your point, I'm like, we want to have conversations that like, I'm like, I would rather you get information from me
Right.
Mhm.
than from the internet, than from your friends, than from your friend's older brother or whatever it is, right? Like, I want to know the trusted source.
Be the safe space. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, this was such a great
Yes.
conversation. Thank you so much. I feel like we
My
could talk
pleasure.
forever about these
Yes.
topics,
Dynamics
but that's
and-
why people should reach out to you. Christina's in Manhattan Beach if anyone wants to reach out to her locally and work with her, but she's also available on social media with a lot of really great, like quick, relatable tips and
resources.
So thank you for this conversation,
For
and
sure.
we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
And that's our show. If you liked what you heard today, please like, subscribe to, follow, and share Meet Bridget with your circle. The best way to help our work here is to rate and review our podcast. We're listening and constantly working to build something helpful for you. Catch you next time.
Bring it on, baby.